Going on, guys? Welcome, Rabid here, and today we're checking out the CMP 100-210 once again, this time for the Kawpow algorithm. So the Kawpow algorithm does consist of a bunch of different GPU mineable coins here. In this case, the main one is Ravencoin, followed by Chlor AI. You got Meow Coin on there and a bunch of other ones. It's a nice ASIC resistant algorithm, does use quite a bit of power, so we're going to see what our hash rates are. I don't expect this one to be too well off on it, but we'll see what happens because this does not have the greatest core in it, as it is a high memory mining GPU from NVIDIA. So let's take a look at some hash rates and see how well the CMP 100-210 does do. All right, guys, so I was in the middle of testing. In here in my mining room, we can see we're only at an ambient of about 16 degrees. It's -3 outside, and that thing was burning up. So I actually have to come into here and go and turn on that fan right there. So I actually have this blowing in, so it's sucking in the -3 air from outside. Every other coin I tested on this ran like 38 degrees to like 40 degrees Celsius, but Kawpow was burning up at over 85 degrees. So I had to get some cold air on that thing ASAP and crank that fan right up to continue on with these tests. All right, so let's take a look at the results of the CMP 100-210 on Kawpow. And every setting here ran extremely hot. As mentioned earlier, you know, I had to go in and turn on the fan and bring in some negative air from outside there, as it's -3 or something outside, just to kind of keep this thing under 70 degrees here. So here are the results of everything. These two colors here, after I found my most efficient setting, which was this one right here, I saw that it had 0 memory. So I went back and tested some of the ones that were pretty close on the higher clocks just to see, you know, how well it would compare here. And these are the two settings here. Now, also when I first started this test, I went off the basic 1260 core lock, 300 offset and 300 memory. And I tried this on Regal, T-Rex, and G-Miner. As you can see, here's the T-Rex numbers. Now for T-Rex, it ran less efficient here. Regal was the more efficient miner, using more power. T-Rex seemed to use the least amount of power over the other two. I also tried G-Miner. It was getting about the same amount of hash rate as T-Rex miner, but it was using, you know, the power around Regal miner. But again, Regal miner was seeing more hash rate than both of the other miners, and it worked out to be a higher efficiency here. That's why I went with the rest of the tests all on Regal miner. So now let's get into these results. So coming in at 1260 core, 300 offset, 0 memory, Regal was getting 48.6 mega hash at 218.7 watts for an efficiency of a hash to watt ratio of 0.222 hashes per 1 watt of power used. Coming into 1260, 300 offset, 300 memory here, so exact same settings, but with the memory, we did get 55.99 mega hash at 252.3 watts, slightly less efficient at 0.221 here, but obviously it's still pretty darn close here. Coming in at 1260 core, 300 offset, 300 memory. This is T-Rex. You can see the numbers here. We did work out that Regal is the better miner for this. Coming in with 1200 core lock, 300 offset, 0 memory, 48.45 mega hash, 220.4 watts, 0.219 for a hash to watt ratio. Now coming in exact same settings, but with 300 on that memory, we were getting 55.39 mega hash. So we've seen that memory is boosting our hash rate a bit there at 243.3 watts. And it's also more efficient at 0.227 hashes per watt. Now we got 1305, 300 offset, 300 memory at 56.27 mega hash, 254.3 watts for an efficiency of 0.221. Now we have our 1470 core, 300 offset, 300 memory, 57.34 mega hash at 270.8 watts for an efficiency rating of 0.211. And moving on to 1500 core at 300 offset, 300 memory, we did peak around 57.22 mega hash at 271.8 watts. That works out to be 0.21 of efficiency there. And it looks like our highest hash rate was actually the 1500 core. No, actually the 1470 core did get a bit more hash rate at 57.34 here, as we previously just went over. Now moving on to 1110 core, 300 offset, 300 memory. That was 49.66 mega hash, 226.2 watts for an efficiency of 0.219. And then our most efficient setting here I did find was 1110 on the core, 300 offset, 0 memory, 47.8 mega hash, 213.2 watts, did work out to be 0.224 hashes per watt used. And then our least efficient setting was 0 core, 300 offset, 0 memory. Actually, it was 0 across the board. There is no 300 offset here. So it was 0, 0, 0. 48.55 mega hash, 269.3 watts, and 0.18 hashes to watt ratio. And then I decided just to add some memory onto this to see how well it does perform. So this again will be 0 right here. So we're going to put a 0 there. This is with the memory. There we go. So this is our settings with 0 cores, no offset and stuff, because you can't set that offset unless you lock your core. But we have strictly only 300 memory. That was 53.28 mega hash at 269.7 watts for a hash to watt ratio of 0.197. Now, looking at all these settings, all the efficiencies actually are pretty close together. As we can see, majority are in the 0.22 range. So 0.222, 0.221, 0.217, 0.219, 0.22, 0.22. So, you can go with any one of these settings. I guess the ultimate factor would be if you have these, adding up all the power there, and then depending on the size of your power supplies and stuff, debating on the size of your rig and everything. So you always got to account for that. And it's always recommended with ATX power supplies, especially gold rated, the peak efficiency level is around 50%. You're definitely going to want to optimize your power supplies when mining Kawpow, because it does use so much power. You need to try to make sure everything reduces as much power as possible, and that means running in a peak power supply efficiency level. Now if you're running like titanium levels, you can get your peak power upwards of past 90% of the power supply. Some of them even maintain a good efficiency level even at 100%. So again, keep that in mind. But most people are running gold, not really titanium or platinum, because they do cost quite a bit more. All right, so let's kind of compare this to some other GPUs out there. So here is the RTX 4090 on Ravencoin, and that does show about 65 mega hash at just under 300 watts for an efficiency of 0.22. So it is pretty much the same efficiency, coming in quite a bit cheaper here. Now looking at an RTX 3070, they are about a hash rate of 30.59 mega hash. Again, this isn't set in stone. I haven't tested the 3070s or the 4090s myself and at the wall power, so take it with a grain of salt. If you have tested this yourself, let me know in the comment sections what your 3070s, maybe 3060 Ti's, 4090s, and other GPUs are doing in terms of efficiencies and stuff. But here we can see about 30.59 mega hash at 150 watts. Again, the efficiency is about 0.2. So we are coming in more efficient than a 3070 at about half the price for the GPU on Ravencoin. That is, pretty decent here. We're about the same efficiency as an RTX 4090, which is quite a bit more expensive here. So, it all comes down to this is looking pretty nice. But keep in mind, you're going to need very, very good cooling to keep these things cool when it does come to Kawpow. Kawpow is known to be the GPU melting algorithm, and with good cause. A lot of people have melted GPUs utilizing the Kawpow algorithm. Now, ultimately, that could come down to user error. Their plugs weren't tight. Maybe they're still using SATA at the time. But keep in mind, this does use quite a bit more power than any of the other coins that you've been previously mining. All right, guys, so here we have it. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this GPU right here, the CMP 100 210. I will go through all my numbers here eventually in the next week or so and get my final thoughts on this GPU, if it's worth it or if it's just pretty much an overhyped GPU. As you got to keep in mind, there isn't going to be any resale value on this thing moving into the future, and you're going to have to trade in your current gaming hardware in order to get these right now. There's other sellers, yes, available that are selling these, but limited stock all over. I will have a link down to respec.io for this GPU. You will have to trade in either gaming GPUs, maybe CPU mining motherboards, Ryzen CPUs. You can pretty much trade in anything you got when it comes to PC gaming grade hardware and get yourself some of these GPUs here. So check that link down in the description if that's something you're looking for with these. But right now they are looking pretty good for some algorithms that did actually surprise me when it did come to Kawpow. And obviously this thing is a dominant force when it does come to Dynex as well as Fish Hash. It did pretty darn good on that one as well. And remember, you're definitely going to need a very good cooling solution when it does come to cooling these things on the Kawpow algorithm. It's a very hot algorithm. Definitely recommended to run the air through this side right here and tape it up. Tape it up right here. Stupid shadows. Let's see if I can get into here. So tape it up all in this area, so you close this here and you blow the air in through this way, and it does seem that is the best way to cool those, because you're going to want to make sure you got your cooling down before you slap in a ton of rigs and turn them all on. So thank you for watching this, guys. I will see you guys on the next one. Rabid out.